Another beautiful day of not paying my taxes.
IRS, we have a warrant for Ritual Beast Ulti Joseph for tax evasion.
Contact out!
All right. What's going on? Wait, where's Joseph?
I don't know who Joseph is, but I'm Ritual Beast Tamer Jillian, and this is Spiritual Beast Sadie.
Spiritual Beast Sadie, huh? I also need her for tax evasion.
Contact fuse.
Shit.
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Today, we're playing an archetype that is very near and dear to my own heart. Longtime viewers will know my history with this deck, and true to form, it took a long time to come back. Presenting Ritual Beast.
Ritual Beasts! What are you talking? What?
So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the #1 place to go if you need a pack simulator, a card database, or want to read a wealth of strategy articles. They also post breakdowns and lists from every major TCG and Master Duel tournament, including the Master Circuit series. Give them a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. With that, let's ramble about Ritual Beast. Ritual Beast is one of Yu-Gi-Oh's first insanely confusing archetypes. This deck was historically famous for exactly two things: an incredibly good Nekroz matchup during a period in which it otherwise would have been almost wholly dominant, and a setup turn so unbelievably complex it could take upwards of 4 whole minutes just to take your first turn. 2015. Our standards were so much higher. Anyway, due to a naming quirk, this archetype actually includes 2 different sub-themes: the Spear Ritual Beasts and the Ritual Beast Tamers. This deck dominated off the back of a very strange interaction. Its flagship monster, Ritual Beast Ulti Kanahawk, can both send 2 Ritual Beasts from the banished zone to the graveyard to search a card, and decontact fuse at quick effect speed. By chaining the second effect to the first effect, the card attempts to resolve as much as possible and can get a powerful search effect without fully paying for it. Given the Ritual Beasts are all soft once per turns, it's also not hard to tag out 3 or 4 times a turn and rack up those searches. Unfortunately, in recent years, this deck's inconsistency, fragility, and inability to play through hand traps doomed it to disuse. Until now. 2 new pieces of support in Terminal Revenge are just what the deck needed, and they got some extras as well. Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara is, you may have noticed, both a Tamer and a Spiritual Beast, fulfilling either half of any of the fusion's requirements. She's also insane. If she's banished, she summons from deck, she gives you an extra normal, and she's protection in the graveyard. Inheritance is kind of a Rhoda in a deck that desperately needs it. And of course, the 2 extra deck monsters give the deck incredible payoffs that are otherwise really hard to get, and they're also kind of sticky. Oh, did I mention this is also a shifter strategy? So with that, let's get into the card by card. We'll begin with the Tamers. Ritual Beast Tamer Elder used to be half of the Elder Kanahawk combo. After you normal summon this card, you can normal summon a Ritual Beast monster during your main phase this turn, in addition to your normal summon or set. Thankfully, you don't absolutely have to find this guy, like you had to in the old days, because you have so many mechanisms by which to get to Lara, who has a better version of this effect. We have 1 copy of Ritual Beast Tamer Wen, which on normal summon can target a banished Ritual Beast and special summon it, and 1 copy of Lil Lara, which on normal summon can target a Ritual Beast in the grave and special summon it. After that, we've got the beasts themselves. 3 copies of Spiritual Beast Rampengu, who once per turn can banish a Ritual Beast from your extra deck, and if you do, send a Ritual Beast monster with the same type as that monster from your deck to the graveyard. Under Shifter, this is a Giga Kanahawk, which we will go to next. Once per turn can banish a Ritual Beast from your deck face up, and during your second standby phase after this effect's activation, can add the card banished by this effect to your hand. In practice, what you're usually going to be doing is getting a Tamer and a Kanahawk on the field, using Kanahawk to tag into a monster that you haven't yet special summoned, then tag out of an Ulti Kanahawk into the Kanahawk and the card that you banished off of Kanahawk, putting back the card that you already summoned to make the Ulti Kanahawk, and then looping that effect a singular time. We've got a copy of Spiritual Beast Apelio, which allows you to, during either player's turn, banish a Ritual Beast from your graveyard, and then for the rest of the turn, all your Ritual Beast monsters gain 500 attack and defense. Finally, we've got our dual duty women. First up is Lara. You can only special summon her once per turn. You can discard a card, and then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon a Ritual Beast monster from your hand, and then if a Ritual Beast card card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish her from the graveyard instead, and if she's banished, you can special summon a Ritual Beast from your deck, except Lara. You can only use each effect of her once per turn. Finally, we've got Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda. If this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, either by battle or card effect, you can special summon a Ritual Beast monster from your deck or extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. This seems kind of mid. It was powerful in Duel Links. We're playing this card for two reasons. Firstly, it's both a Spiritual Beast and a Tamer, just like Lara. You might think we already have Lara, but remember, every Ritual Beast card can only be special summoned once per turn, so it's good to have an additional name. Secondly, she does enable a significant amount of OTKs just by getting her as part of a tag out and then getting her into attack position by using the effect of the Spiritual Beast spell card. We are able to pivot through stuff like Ulti Gaiapello with ease. Next up, 3 Pot of Prosperity, 3 copies of Ritual Beast Inheritance. Monsters your opponent controls lose 200 attack for each different type among the Ritual Beast monsters you control. You can only use each of the effects of Ritual Beast Inheritance once per turn. Reveal a Ritual Beast monster in your hand, add a Ritual Beast monster with a different type from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. And then if 2 or more monsters are special summoned to your field at the same time, you can target a monster on the field and change its battle position. That's actually really important because a significant amount of the Ritual Beasts are summoned in defense position, and getting them into attack is critical. 3 copies of E-Telly because we're playing a lot of Psychics. 1 copy of Ritual Beasts Bond. This card used to be kind of mid, but now we have things that are worth going into. So, Gold Sarcophagus absolutely complicates the deck to no end. I wish they'd ban it just so I don't have to think very hard. Because it turns your Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara into a starter, it means that your lines are fundamentally different if you found this card rather than if you haven't. 2 copies of Steeds. This card, if you control a Ritual Beast monster, allows you to destroy monsters on the field up to the number of Ritual Beasts you currently control. Back in the day, you would play some number of Steeds and some number of Ritual Beast Ambush as your searchable cards. These days, you don't actually need to swarm the field because you have the capacity to do so anyway. We've got 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Effect Veiler, 3 copies of Dimension Shifter, and 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Pour one out for Petalfin, who did not make the cut. In the extra, we've got Ritual Beast Ulti Gaiapello. This card has a lot of attack. That's the relevant portion of it. It can be made with a Ritual Beast Ulti and a Tamer and a Spiritual Beast, but it can also be cheated out by Winda. When a spell trap or another monster's effect is activated, you can banish a Ritual Beast from your hand, negate the activation, and if you do destroy it, very powerful effect that only works if it has been properly summoned. We've got 2 copies of Ritual Beast Ulti Nochiu Drago. God, I hope that's right. A Ritual Beast Tamer monster and a Spiritual Beast monster must be special summoned by banishing the above cards from your field and or graveyard. This is an unbelievable summoning condition for a Ritual Beast card because it means you can go through the Canahawk line a couple of times, and then once a couple of cards have been put into the graveyard via the interaction between Canahawk and its own ability to tag out, you can then banish them to add this to your end board. You can only special summon this once per turn, and your opponent cannot target other Ritual Beast monsters you control with card effects, and as a quick, you can return this card to the extra deck, then target 1 banished Ritual Beast monster, special summon it, but it can't attack directly. Ulti Apelio is still in this deck. It's generally pretty good. It has to be special summoned by banishing both a Ritual Beast Tamer and a Spiritual Beast, and if it attacks, it's unaffected by other cards' effects until the end of the damage step. This is a very powerful effect to have on any card that is going to be beating your opponent's face in, but it also means that Apelio, which boosts your monsters, will stop affecting this during the damage step, and it's going to go back down to 2600. Then, of course, it has the tag out effect. This is the alt art of Ulti Canahawk. I'm really excited that they gave us one. This can be made with a Ritual Beast Tamer monster and a Spiritual Beast monster. Has to be special summoned by banishing the above cards you control. Once per turn, you can target 2 of your banished Ritual Beast cards, return them to the graveyard, then add a Ritual Beast card from your deck to your hand. Then during either player's turn, you can return this card you controlled to the extra deck, then target 2 of your banished monsters, a Tamer and a Spiritual Beast, special summon them in defense position. It's not unusual to get 2 or 3 searches off this card over the course of a turn. We've got 1 copy of Typhon, 1 copy of Bagoosker, and then we've got Ritual Beast Ulti Rutiorie. This card can be made with 3+ effect monsters. Neither player can tribute cards to activate a card effect, which turns off a significant amount of really powerful cards this meta, but also just randomly floodgates some really funny strategies. You just have some no-lose situations just because of this card's existence. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can target 1 of your banished Ritual Beast cards, return it to the hand, then perform a normal summon. Then during your opponent's turn, you can target a Ritual Beast card you control and a card your opponent controls, banish them. It's removal, it's a little bit of floodgatey protection, and it is extension. Everything you could want. Oh, also, here's a fun fact. It's a Ritual Beast monster in your extra deck, which means you are able to bond into this card. We've got Apollosa. We've got 2 copies of Kumino Falcos. This card can be made with 2 Ritual Beast monsters. Ritual Beasts gain 600 attack and defense if they're being pointed to by this card. You can banish a Ritual Beast card from your graveyard. Immediately after this effect resolves, perform a normal summon of a Ritual Beast monster. Then, quick effect, you can return this card you control to the extra deck, then choose both a Tamer and a Spiritual Beast to special summon them in defense. This is a really cool combo enabler that's actually a couple of years old. It just didn't really ever have a home because it wasn't the difference maker in a deck that had been crept by time. We are playing one SP and one Masquerena as well. The Masquerena makes its way onto Best of All Possible Worlds end boards, but it's also not a bad backup plan. In the side, we've got 3 Nibiru the Primal Being, we've got a Harpy's Feather Duster, double triple Tactics Talons, 3 Cosmic Cyclone, 3-dimensional Barrier, and this little package that I like boarding against Snake Eye, a Nemesis Flag, Infernal Flame Banshee, and Arch Nemesis Protoss Calling Fire, of course. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Sprite, and this basically just showcases the combo unimpeded. Let's take a look. We're going to begin with a copy of Emergency Teleport and draw for a Lara. We'll proceed to the main phase and normal summon that Elder. We're going to bank that normal and go into a copy of Cannahawk. We're going to trigger the effect of the Lara in order to grab a Rampangu, then activate Rampangu in order to banish an ulti Gaipello and send a Tamer to the graveyard. Down comes ulti Cannahawk. We'll target 2, and then we'll go ahead and search ourselves a copy of Cannahawk. That extra normal is going to be used on Cannahawk. We can't yet use the effect to tag out because unfortunately that Lara was special summoned, and it doesn't discriminate as to where it was special summoned from on the hard onces. We'll go ulti Cannahawk here and then chain the effect of the ulti Cannahawk, pretending like it's 2015. We'll summon back the Cannahawk in the Wen, putting the Elder back into the graveyard to grab another Cannahawk, then we'll activate that soft once in order to banish Winda. Let's go Kumno Falcos. We'll banish that Apelio for a Cannahawk, then activate the effect of the Cannahawk in order to banish a Lara. Down comes ulti Retianari. We're going to go ahead and grab that Lara back, then we'll normal summon the Lara. Its effect will trigger, and we can get our Kumno Falcos back as well. We'll go into a Cannahawk, activate the effect in order to put 2 cards back, and then we'll activate the effect of the port out as well. We'll go ahead and summon back the Lara and the Winda. Afterwards, we're going to put 1 card back and grab a Steeds. We'll go into an IP Masquerena and on a Nochio Drago and set a copy of Steeds. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Swap Frog. We will let that resolve. Oh my god, it's the Ice Barrier version. I love this build. Okay, they're going to begin with a copy of Carrot. We will Kumino Falcos, summoning 2 monsters from our banished zone. Afterwards, we'll go Apelio and chain the effect of Masquerena. They'll econ, but oh no, can't tribute to activate an effect while a Retianari is on field. They'll switch the battle position of our monster, and we'll go into an SP Little Knight. We'll use its effect in order to banish this copy of Carrot. That way, when they use Freezing Chains to bring back Mirror Master, we can fire off this Steeds without worrying about it being negated. They'll go Triple Tactics to take. We will just take all the good monsters off our side of the field and chain the effect of the Retianari in order to get this Freezing Chains off as well. They're going to go ahead and take our copy of Winda. They'll fire a Sprite Starter. We will Ash Blossom, which allows them to go into Typhon, but that's no big deal. They'll attack for 29. We should be able to assemble lethal from this position. We'll draw for turn. That's a great one. We're going to go for E-Telly for Lara here. We're going to activate the effect of our ulti Retianari in order to get back our Apelio. We'll activate the Apelio effect, banishing Lara. Then we'll activate Alario's effect in order to go into Cannahawk. Let's go ulti Apello into Nochio Drago. Go to the battle phase. We'll get over for 200, for 16, for 26, and for lethal with our Nochio Drago. For our second game, let's see how this deck performs in hand traps. And our opponent has a lot of them. That's an Ash Blossom and an Ogre and a Herald of Orange Light. Okay, well, we've opened pretty well. We're going to begin with a copy of, you guessed it, Ritual Beast Inheritance. We'll activate the effect, and that's going to unfortunately get Ghost Ogred. Pretty effective use of that card. Let's go for the Prosby afterwards. We actually do already have combo, so we're just going to do it for 3, and I guess we'll take the Imperm. Let's go Elder, extra normal into Winda, and down comes Cannahawk. We'll go Cannahawk into, unfortunately, an Ash Blossom. We'll chain the effect to tag out and get met with a Herald of Orange Light. Okay, we're just chilling, I suppose. Let's pass back to our opponent. They do have a first movement solo. They're going to activate that. They do know we have Imperm, but I still am going to fire Imperm here. We can't let Refrain resolve, right? We do top deck better than we did in the past, despite the fact that this deck is mostly 2-card combos. Draws like Rampangu are pretty good. We'll go for the effect of the Rampangu. That's going to be met with an infinite impermanence. Okay, I can't let the Refrain sit on field, so we will at minimum crash here. We'll pass back to our opponent, who also is kind of looking for something like an Ostinato. Unfortunately, they find a cannon. They get in for 14. We got to get something crazy off the top, and that qualifies. Okay, we'll go Rampangu here. We're going to activate the effect. That's going to banish a copy of Ulti Gaipello, and then we have enough in the graveyard to make an Ulti Nochio Drago. That's going to banish our Laura, so we can go into Little Laura into Ulti Cannahawk, and this should be the end of the game. We're going to Ulti Cannahawk 1, Ulti Cannahawk 2. Here we don't even have to be discerning about what we're putting back. I mean, we can literally put back 2 just to have more cards in the graveyard. We'll go Kumino Falcos to banish one of them, so we can go Wen to bring back this copy of Winda, and then afterwards we can make another Ulti Cannahawk. God, I love how this ends up. We'll just go ahead and start putting back cards we can't tag into, like Ulti Gaipello, grab an Inheritance, go to the battle phase. That's 1,000, that's 2,000, that's 24. Last card in hand is, of course, Ritual Beast Bond. So we're going to activate the effect of our Nochio Drago into Bond, into our Ulti Retianari, and get in for lethal. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing What Else But Snake Eye, and god if this doesn't look like every Snake Eye opener I've had this month. 4 different hand traps and a card you don't want to draw. They're going to set that imperm and pass it back to us. We'll begin with a Lara. Lara here is going to allow us to normal summon this Canahawk. They will Veiler it, that's unfortunate. Afterwards we'll use our extra normal on Rampengu, and it will get impermed. I also have my sights set on the Rock here, because there's no reason they would set that unless they had it. So we're just going to go Nochio Drago into Winda and proceed to the battle phase. We will get in for 16, 24, and psych, the game's over! We opened Ritual Beast Bond. Let's go into Ulti Retinari and get in for that last little bit. Quick game 1. So it's time for game 2, and the shoe's on the other foot now. I see we've drawn no non-engine, and they have drawn a hell of a full combo. Okay, they're going to begin with a copy of Unicorn. Unicorn's going to grab Birth. They're going to activate that Birth, and then afterwards, of course, they can normal summon the Fenrir. They'll overlay for a Dracosack, activate the effect of the Dracosack for 2 tokens, and then afterwards, they can go ahead and make a Link Spider into a Bonfire. Bonfire here is going to grab a Poplar. Poplar effect 2 special from hand, and they'll activate the effect of the Poplar in order to grab an OSS. They'll make a Hita the Fire Charmer Ablaze into Poplar, into Appaloosa really early, sending the Poplar for an Oak. They'll activate the effect of the Oak, targeting the Poplar. They should be able to full combo from this position. Activate Birth to special summon back the Fenrir, and Oak, sending the Birth in order to summon Flamberge. Down comes IP Masquerena, Flamberge effect. They'll summon Poplar, and they'll summon Oak to go into Promethean Princess effect in order to bring back the Flamberge. Flamberge set the IP Masquerena. Raging Phoenix into Zealantis. They will pass here. We draw for turn. I mean, it's a good draw, but yikes, we got a lot of work to do. All right, we're going to begin with a copy of Inheritance. We'll use the effect of the Inheritance and grab ourselves a Lara. We'll pitch that Lara, and now it's time for the Pot of Prosperity. Unfortunately, that's met with an Ash Blossom, so we're going to have to try and engine our way out of this one. Well, Ritual Beast Tamer Elder into Canahawk isn't all it used to be. It's going to be met with the SP Little Knight, followed by the resolution of Flamberge. Poplar will grab the Divine Temple. We can at least E-Telly into a Lara, which makes a Canahawk, but unfortunately that's checked by the Promethean Princess. We will protect our monster with Lara, and we'll try to trigger the effect when banished, but it'll be met with Appaloosa. We'll go into Ulti Kumino Falcos and Nochio Drago in order to potentially pop the Appo, but unfortunately the Zealantis checks. Let's go next. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and this hand looks good. Inheritance, full combo. The only piece of interaction our opponent has is Nibiru. We're going to begin with a copy of Inheritance. We will activate the effect, and we will go ahead and grab a copy of Elder. Let's normal summon the Elder, and normal summon the Canahawk as well. We'll go Canahawk here in order to banish Lara into an Ulti Canahawk, into Ulti Canahawk's effect. We will chain the effect to tag out, bringing back 2 and shuffling back 1. 1, 2, and what do we want to search? How about a When? We'll go for Canahawk here in order to banish a Rampengu into an Ulti Kumno Falcos, and they will Nibiru at the earliest possible moment. We could have played around this a little bit better, but instead we're going to go Nochio Drago into an Apelio. We can still combo. We'll go Apelio here into an Ulti Kumino Falcos, then we'll activate the effect in normal. We haven't yet, into When. When bring back Rampengu, and then of course we can activate the Rampengu effect, sending an Ulti Gaiapello to get a Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda in there. We're going to bond here for an Ulti Retinari, then we'll activate its effect in order to normal summon this Lara and trigger its effect, bringing back this copy of Winda. From here we're going to go into Infernal Flame Banshee, and we're going to go ahead and grab a copy of Nemesis Flag. I figure if we lock them out of fire, we basically just win on the spot. So let's go ahead and get Protoss, and then of course we will summon it out. Infernal Flame Banshee triggers, summoning itself, Protoss calling fire. We'll pop those 2 and pass back to our opponent. Good luck to them. They've opened pretty much everything, but still, it's going to be hard for them to make it work. They'll go Nibiru over the Retinari. We're going to go ahead and banish that. Maybe should have let that just happen to keep them off of the Kashtiras. Here comes Unicorn. Here comes Fenrir. They're going to activate Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils into Diabellstar. Special Diabellstar, activate the effect in order to set an OSS. Afterwards, going to overlay for a Dracosack. And oh my god, are we going to get cooked without ever seeing a fire monster? They'll go Link Spider into SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight banish this copy of Protoss into a Selene. Selener has 3 spell counters removed in order to bring back this copy of Diabellstar and make an access code talker. From this position, they can clear our entire field, starting with the Retinari and ending with the Inheritance. They will use Birth to bring back Fenrir, finally terraforming for a Divine Temple so they can summon their fire monsters on my turn. We'll draw for turn, and wow, what a setup. Okay, let's go Nochio Drago. That's going to trigger the Divine Temple, bringing out the Ash. They'll trigger the effect of the Ash in order to grab Poplar, then activate the effect of the Poplar, summoning it to their side of the field. Let's go Canahawk. We can still do a lot here. We'll banish the Lara. We'll trigger the effect of the Lara in order to bring back Elder. From here, they're going to go Fenrir, targeting Nochio Drago. We'll chain Nochio Drago. They did force that out early into a Kumino Falcos. We'll go Ulti Canahawk, and here we just got to get it going. Ulti Canahawk into Ulti Canahawk. We'll go ahead and summon 2 monsters afterwards. Let's get the Lara and the Apelio, and we'll grab an Inheritance. We'll go Apelio here, banishing 1, and then Inheritance, and unfortunately will trigger Birth, but we can still make it work. We'll go Ulti Canahawk again. We will go ahead and return 2, tag out for 2, and we will add a card from our deck to hand. Let's go ahead and grab this time a copy of Steeds. We'll go for Inheritance here, targeting the Winda to switch it to attack, then Prosby for 3, finding Shifter just a little too late. I guess we take Imperm here. We'll go for Kumino Falcos in order to tag out for more monsters, and then afterwards we are of course able to make another Ulti Canahawk. We'll go Canahawk in order to banish Lara and proceed to the battle phase. We get over the Ash, and we're going to walk into this copy of Access Code Talker to get ourselves a Gaiapello over the Fenrir. We're going to go for Ulti Canahawk afterwards in order to put 2 cards back and grab a Steeds before passing to our opponent. We'll go for the Infip, targeting the Access Code Talker so it can't walk over us. Then we'll go for the Steeds in order to pop everything relevant on the board. Maybe should have hit like the Divine Temple over the token, but really hard to say. Our opponent's going to go Bonfire into Ash. They're going to normal summon the Ash and grab themselves a Poplar. From here, they can trigger the effect of the Poplar, and God, despite everything we did, I think we are just dead to that, so I'll scoop. So we're back with the deck, and I'm going to be honest, brain hurty. I certainly could have played around Nibiru just a little bit better in that best of 3, but let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, Lara is so good. It gives the deck multiple 1-card combos, which it never had before. With Nochio Drago, you also get extension by being an Astrolabe and targeting protection. I mean, the deck has tons of new end boards enabled almost exclusively by this card. 2, the new Link 4. It's great disruption, it's a situational floodgate, it's extension. It really raises the ceiling of the deck and puts up impressive end boards. And 3, the deck is pretty good at playing through most individual hand traps. An Ash, an Imperm, a Nibiru even. It has multiple 2-card combos that let you play through almost anything with ease, and it gets to play Shifter and Protoss, if you're into that. And the cons. 1, okay, so the deck is really good at playing through a hand trap, but it's really bad at playing through 2. It usually has the necessary extension to keep going if you get hit, but if 2 well-placed hand traps come down, it's likely going to shut down your turn and end you on nothing. 2, the deck has to run a non-engine suite to lower the ceiling of boards because it's kind of badly placed going second. If they can keep your first plays off the board, you're likely unable to establish any sort of board presence, and you'll lose on the spot. And 3, it's hard. There's tons of combo routes, and even more when you get interrupted. There's a lot to learn, and any mistake is essentially going to end your turn. One of the most punishing decks I've ever played. Overall, if you want a strategy in which you can invest a ton of time and be rewarded, well, then Ritual Beast might be worth it for you. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching. These 10-minute testings are functionally subsidized by, and occasionally suggested by, my Patreons. I'm going to go ahead and read out some of the higher tier Patreons now, without whom these videos would not be possible. Huge thanks to Elena Tincher, Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, Ally, Brett Henry, Canner, Seaweed, Darkmaster Zork, Derpin Dragon, Devin Senpai, DJ Elefante, Gravity, John Piet, Juan Cruz Avila Zati, Night Mary, Legal Rights, Lockstone, Luis Hernandez, Matthew M. Derezzo, MBT Play Madolce, soon, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nebula Yu-Gi-Oh!, Project Mercury, Rose Lapine, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Vincent Storm, Who's Nick, Wonder Waffle, Your Pot of Greed Does What, and Yuki. Couldn't have done it without you.